What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. As you can see, we are taking you through a Warlock build using the Skull of Dire Ahamkara as well as Bad Juju for giving yourself almost instant, and I literally mean it is so fast. We're getting your super back when you got Devour proc on top of the exotic trait that Bad Juju gives you. The amount of super energy that you get from those defeats is absolutely disgusting. Inside of the onslaught, I was getting my super almost every single round, which is absolutely disgusting because some of those rounds literally only last 20-30 seconds, so you can see why this build is disgusting. So starting us out with the exotic perk on Skull of Dire Ahamkara, Actual Grandeur provides additional damage resistance during our Nova Bomb final blows, and weapon final blows, while we have Devour grant us super energy, which is disgusting, like I said, and we're getting Devour super easily with this build, so you can see why it is just insane for slamming that Nova all the time. Now when we move on to our abilities, aspects, and fragments, we're going to be using Nova Bomb so we can get the Skull of Dire Ahamkara to proc. For your class ability, I really like Phoenix Dive personally because of how fast it comes back with Helion, but you can really go with either of your other rifts as well. For me, go with Balance Glide as well as Arcane Needle. One, because this is going to give us 3 melees, which will be easier for us to get Feed the Void to proc, because defeating targets with abilities is how we're going to activate Devour with this build. Again, going to be super easy on this build, I promise. And then we're going to be using Void Grenades as well to weaken targets, as well as one of the best grenades in my opinion to get Devour to proc because of how long it lasts and that nice AoE effect that it has. Helion, like I said, is my other aspect that I'm going to be using, so these also count as ability defeats, which will help us for sure to get us to have Devour to proc even more often than normal, just because those Helions are getting defeats left and right in my personal opinion. Now on this build, we're going to be using Facet of Solitude, letting precision hits emits a severing blast from targets, while Transcendent, those severs are even bigger. Definitely super easy that we're going to get Transcendent with this build because of all the darkness debuffs that we're getting with our melee, and then everything else basically we're using is light energy plus other fragments that we're going to be using. Facet of Awakening right here, rapidly defeating targets with light, darkness, or super generate elemental pickups of the matching damage type. So for us, we're going to get Tangles to proc, Fire Sprites, Void Breaches, and then Stasis Shards as well. So little synergy of a bunch of different of these pickups that we can get. Facet of Courage right here, Arc, Solar, Void abilities do more damage against darkness affected by that darkness debuff, so very good because there's going to be stasis flying around everywhere usually with our other teammates, as well as we're going to get some Sever as well as Unravel because of our Solitude as well as our melee. Facet of Dominance right here, going to allow our Void Grenade to weaken enemies, allowing us to do even more juicy DPS on those bosses and champions, etc. like that in that end game content for sure. And then last but definitely not least, Facet of Hope right here. Well, we have an elemental buff, our class ability comes back faster, so we're going to have Devour up consistently with this build, so we're going to have Phoenix Dive or whatever you use for your class ability up almost consistently. All right, moving on to our mods as well as our stats that we're building this out to. For me, I went with our Recovery as number 1, Discipline as number 2, just for our survivability in that end game harder kind of content that we got. Easily doable, and we're getting our super back instantly with this helm. Dynamo right here, helping us to get back our super in another aspect with using our class ability near targets, Harmonic Siphon as well as Kinetic Siphon for the weapons that we are going to be using, helping us to create even more orbs of power, which we pick them up, giving us our super once again. Focusing Strike as well as Bolstering Detonation, going to help us to get back our class ability when we do damage with our melee or our grenade, and then causing damage with melee gives us our grenade back, so positive feedback loop for spamming our abilities. Chest Piece, again, like I always say, totally up to you and the content you are going into. You can switch these on and off depending on the enemies and modifiers of the content. Now, when we move on to our boost, we're going to have Invigoration with that Absolution. Innervation right here, going to give us that grenade energy when we pick up Orbs of Power. Absolution going to give us all our abilities when we pick up Orbs of Power, as well as Void Holster, which you will see why for our weapons that we are going to be using, with a Bomber as well as Reaper on our class item down here. So when we do use our class ability, we're going to get more orbs to be procced on those defeats, as well as get our grenade back even a little bit faster, adding to the ability spam of this build and having those ability defeats so we can get Devour to proc, so then we can get our super to proc almost instantly with that crazy energy that gets fed right back into us with the Skull of Dire Ahamkara, as well as that Bad Juju. Like I said, it is crazy instant. Now, weapons that really make this build super crazy, super juicy. We're going to be using Bad Juju, which is definitely what you're looking for to pair with the Skull of Dire Ahamkara, so you can get those kills, refills the magazine, increases damage, and grants us super energy. The combination of this with this and Devour is super disgusting, super disgusting how fast that super comes back. Now, for me, I'm using Pinpoint Slug shotgun right here with Reconstruction. Focus Fury, you can really use any type of shotgun you would like in this column, just using it for our anti-barrier. Bad Juju also going to help us with our unstoppable champions, and I'm using Edge Transit right here. Envious Bait and Switch for that juicy DPS, plus again it pairs with our Void Siphon, and just with this build we can do insane things with getting our super consistently. Damage output is insane because of the Nova Bomb aspect, and then of course we got that Envious Bait and Switch on our Edge Transit, so it is a crazy combination. Super is almost immediate, like I said, and we still are not done. Last but not least, which really kind of takes this build over the edge, is our artifact from this season. We're going to have Unstoppable Pulse Rifle with Anti-Barrier Shotgun, Killing Breeze, Rapid Weapon, Final Blows grant us mobility, Rapid Impacts dealing damage with Grenade Launcher, increases that Grenade Launcher reload, so Edge Transit going to be able to juice even more damage with a faster reload. After finishing a powerful combatant, we gain temporary damage resistance. This is nice for that end game content. And then Devour, again, going to help us to give back our health even better. Right here with the Jolt and Blinding we're going to get on some of those enemies, we're going to be able to get a nice little bit. Actually, this should be this Weakening, grants us Devour. I am totally sorry. That is a mishap on my opinion. I was reading that and I was like, that is not right. When we get those defeats on Weakening because of our grenade, we're going to get Devour to proc again in another fashion. So just keeping it up all the time with the Skull of Dire Ahamkara. If we do shatter those stasis crystals in any fashion, they have those little ice balls that come off of them, damaging and slowing targets. Finishers emit a wave, so for us, we're going to get a nice wave of volatility when we do get those finishers on enemies. Getting that concussive reloader, again, weakening targets, we're going to get that on our grenade as well, so being able to juice damage with our grenade launcher as well as our grenade and super. With picking up those stasis shards gives us class ability, Void Breaches gives us melee energy, Supernova picking up Void Breaches causes our next source of void damage to create a weakening pulse, so again another way for us to get weakened, so then we can get power from pain to proc with that Void Weaken Devour synergy that we got going on. Pretty disgusting little combination. Like I said, our super comes back almost instantly as soon as we get that Devour to proc and we start getting defeats with Bad Juju. It is instant. It is so fast. Like I was saying, I was getting almost 2 Nova Bombs every single round of Onslaught that I went through, which is absolutely disgusting if you're thinking about it, because we are overpowered for it. It's only capped at 1965, so getting all of those defeats is super easy for us. But even in that end game content, when you are getting defeats, it is so fast of how that energy goes up. I don't know how else to describe it. You just got to try it out for yourself, because you're going to be amazed. It's no modifiers that you see in the gameplay either. It is just as fast as possible on how that super energy is going up. So Warlocks, give this a try. Definitely a super fun meta build, in my personal opinion. Can take it really into any type of content that you are trying to go through as well. In my personal opinion, just gotta prep yourself with those mods, etc. on your armor pieces. So appreciate all you guys for coming back to the channel. As always, means a lot to me, means a lot to the channel. Don't be afraid to like and subscribe. Slap that bell if you haven't. Helps me out, helps you guys out, so you get notifications as well, so you don't miss out on any of these builds that we have here. And again, just appreciate all you guys. We got Act 2 running hard. I am currently up north doing some family stuff, so I will be back and better than ever. whatever at the end of this week here, cranking out more content for you guys. So be on the lookout for that. Again, I appreciate all you guys. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.